is this beef between what they call foundational Black Americans and tethers, right? You would be the tether because you're African. And the argument is that you are benefiting off of everything that foundational Black Americans have done, aka descendants of slaves. And that is a conversation that I really want to have with you because I want to know your perspective on it.
Hi guys, and welcome to the African Diaspora channel. Recently, I heard this interesting discussion on the Chaotic Truth channel. Chaotic Truth invited Greg from the Black Conservative Perspective channel to join him on a very interesting discussion. Chaotic Truth is an African originally from Nigeria, but he was born and raised in America. And Greg is an American, so he's a Black American. So guys, listen to this and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, please don't forget to subscribe to Chaotic Truth and Greg Black Conservative Perspective when you finish this video, if you are interested in their content.
Why is there so much beef between so-called people of color, especially so-called Black folks? Because Black folks now seem to be separating themselves and saying, look, we're not the same as Africans, which I mean is true, right? Culturally, to a certain extent, and you can, say yay or nay on that. But it's just fascinating because usually they lump all the so-called people of color together. But for some reason, when it comes to this, FBA versus, African thing, it's, there's some tension there.
This whole FBA nonsense came about by race hustlers, race scam artists, Tariq. And it's just me saying it. This isn't Black Conservative Perspective saying it. This is Chaotic Truth. Tariq Nasheed is a race hustler. Brother Polite is a race hustler. Umar Johnson is a race hustler. They have no other talents but to sell racism and suppression. So Tariq Nasheed especially has created this whole FBA nonsense. It's funny that FBA are people who cry racism and oppression, but they're trying to do the very same tactics that they believe has happened to them on Africans. Here goes the fact of the matter is Black Conservative Perspective.
Yeah.
FBA is a small group of African Americans of slave descent, supposedly. Very small.
Allegedly.
It's a subgroup of people who are weed smokers, alcohol drinkers, incense burners. They're losers. They're not winners. They've been in this country for hundreds of years and they haven't been able to capitalize off all the resources in this country. So when they see Africans coming over here, when they see Arabs coming over here, when they see people coming over here, and within one generation, they have gone from rags to riches, they get jealous of them. And that's the whole problem with it.
I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I agree. I agree. Honestly, I'm not interested in the slavery conversation. I'm not interested in the reparations conversation. I'm too busy.
In this video, Assad and his wife are basically giving advice to African Americans / Black Americans
I personally don't
who
care
are planning to visit or move to
my
Africa.
family was a descendant of slaves.
What
I
not
have
to
no
do
interest
or what
in going
not
back
to
and looking at it
expect.
and talking
They
about
did
it
a whole
because it
video
doesn't
on
matter.
their
YouTube
YouTube page, so please make sure you go to their YouTube channel and watch the full video. But I'm just going to pick like a few
that
things
we all
that they
acknowledge
say that I
happened,
found
okay?
quite
And it still happens
entertaining,
today
funny,
to a certain
and I
extent,
thought I would share
right?
with you guys. So please
Asian
listen
people,
to this.
African people,
And then before we go
it's
any
almost like
further,
any immigrant
I also
group
want
that
to
comes
say
over
that
here,
as
even
an
you can say
African,
Latinos
I'm
to
an
a certain
African
extent, right?
who
They
lives
come
in
over here
America. I've been living in
and they
America for a
prove
while.
every single day
And I
collectively
love it
that
when
the
African
so-called
Americans /
oppression
Black Americans
is
go to Africa.
not so bad that you can't overcome,
and I really
but you still
believe
got
that
Black
Africa
people claiming that they can't overcome,
and
they can't, for
a
whatever
more
reason, we can't
developed
get past the
continent.
evil white
If
man. I'm like, well, how's
brothers in
everybody
the
else outperforming
diaspora
the white man?
go
Specifically,
and invest
Asian people,
in
right?
the continent of
Academically,
Africa.
how are they outperforming
So when I say
whites
African Americans
if
like
the
Mr.
system
Assad
so
and his
systemically
wife
racist? But that's
moved
not
to
to say
Africa,
that
they moved their whole
all
family to
Black people
Africa.
can't figure it out.
When I
Clearly,
see
there
them doing
are
things
Black
like that,
people
moving
that
their whole
have
family
figured it
working in
out.
Africa,
You know,
promoting
like a
Africa,
Thomas Sowell,
it warms my heart.
or a
So
Ben
that's why I follow their
Carson, or all
channel,
these guys
and that's
that,
why I watch
Black
also
people
their
say sellouts
videos.
sometimes. I'm
They
like,
are
bro,
based in
they
South
got the woman
Africa,
right there.
in
They're telling you what you
Johannesburg.
need to do
So you
in
guys
order
please
to,
make sure you subscribe
to
to
be
their
successful.
channel
They're actually showing you that it is
enjoy
possible. But it
this
seems like
video.
as Black people, we don't embrace the people that actually are showing us a path to success. Instead, we embrace the worst among us. For example, like the criminals, okay, the rappers, the models, like everything that really just is not conducive to, actually competing with the white man. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly the people that are, FBA, they seem to be more obsessed with grievance culture and trying to get paid for something they never went through. Reparations, and I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that it's a pipe dream that's being sold to people. As again, it's a grift, right? Something that's never going to happen, and they know it's not going to happen. But at the end of the day,
All right, guys.
victimhood
Thanks
is the
for
most valuable
watching.
currency.
Please don't
in this
forget
country
to
in
like,
2023, in my
share,
opinion.
and subscribe
Yeah.
to
This is
this
what I have
channel,
to say to
and also
anybody
to
who
our SARS
identifies
channel.
as FBA and they're
And
dog
please, I
walking or they're
hope
trying
you
to
were
dog
inspired by this
African
video,
immigrants. Here goes the thing.
and that some of you
You
will
gotta
travel
look
to
yourself in the
Africa
mirror
at some
FBA.
point,
You gotta look
invest in
yourself and say,
Africa,
listen,
and
I'm a
move there if
loser.
you want
That's
to.
what you have to look yourself in the
Africa
mirror.
is
I'm gonna tell you,
the
and I'm gonna say,
future.
and I'm gonna
Thank
say
you for
this. I'm gonna
watching.
say this. It is shameful when I hear Black Americans of slave descent crying. The wealthiest Black people in the African diaspora are Black Americans of slave descent. You got the wealthiest. First of all, over 2 million Black Americans in this country have a net worth over $1 million.
Yeah.
If Black Americans were a nation state, $2 trillion in spending power. That means that they will be a very, very, if that was a country, that GDP right there will be number 9 or number 8 if that was a country.
Yeah.
African Americans have the highest, I'm talking about a slave descent, have the highest standard of living, the better human rights than most people in the diaspora. And the Black Islands, South America. Listen, your average African American in America is living 10 times better than a Black Brazilian, than a Black Guyanan, than a Black Ghanaian, than a Nigerian. What has happened is that you've allowed a culture of, like you say, this crime culture has created a culture of people that have not recognized poor patterns of behavior. In this country, you work hard. And you succeed. When I was in college 20 years ago, sir, you know what happened when I walked past the mathematics building and science building? You know who I didn't see? Black people of slave descent. You know where I saw them at? They were burning incense, wearing dashikis, beating on drums outside of the African Studies building. It's about choices. It's not about no goddamn slavery.
When I was in high school, I went to an elite high school. And one thing I noticed, I was the only, basically the only Black person. Every other Black person was African, and they all had some of the same common things in regards to 2-parent households, just valuing hard work, studying, being on top of their responsibilities, jobs. It was just it's how in the world do you have an elite high school and most of the Black people are African? And they make up a minority of these so-called Black people in this country. And that's something that I have just observed just growing up in school. Is just all the most successful so-called Black folks tend to be African, and they all just come from a different background. They're just different.
Mm-hmm. You know why? Because first of all, most of the planet, and this is what I love to tell a lot of FBAs. I'm talking about people who identify as what I would say these FBI sexuals. What they do is that they have a hyper vigilant attitude about themselves. They don't look at the world for what it really is. They don't look at other people's atrocities. The average FBA doesn't know a goddamn thing about the Uyghurs in China. The average FBA couldn't care less about a Ukrainian getting their face blew off. The average foundational Black American couldn't care about the million Tutsis that were killed in Rwanda. They don't give a damn. What they care about is themselves, and they're selfish. And a lot of these people are absolutely, in my opinion, anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-hard work. And what happens is that, again, these Africans, when they come over here, they come from shitholes. Listen, some of the poorest places on the planet are in Africa. I knew girls that came from Liberia, from Rwanda. Yeah. I knew girls in college that came from all these places, and they came over here. Listen, even when I was in college, I dated a Rwandan. Her family was massacred. Came over here. She never gave any excuses about what happened in 1994 in April. She never gave any excuses. She came over here. She became a doctor. The thing of the matter is that FBA people are the only people that are allowed to bitch and complain. And what happens is that when they see these Africans who are coming over here working hard, they see the roads that are paved, They see the nice infrastructure. They see all the police
Hi
are not
guys,
corrupt like
welcome
they
to the
are in
African
Nigeria
Diaspora
and
channel.
Liberia.
On this video,
Yeah,
I'll be
Liberia doesn't have fucking
reacting
police.
to a
They see
video
all the-
that
they see the
Assad
beauty of this
Malik
country. They see it for
did
what it
with
really
his
is. They
wife.
come over here, they generally
They are
abide by the
Black
law,
Americans,
and they work
African
hard.
Americans.
The
They are
average
from
FBA
Louisiana
has been
in
told to hate
America,
the
and right
cops.
now
The average
they live
FBA is
in South
disorderly, and the
Africa.
average FBA really
They are a
wants, in my
beautiful
opinion,
couple, and I always
anarchy.
like
They
watching
want
their
chaos.
channel because they are so
Yeah,
funny.
if you take
And I
somebody
hope you
from that
enjoy
country
this
and you bring them
video.
over here to the United States, where there's way more resources, there's way more
Yep.
opportunities. They see,
Yep.
oh yeah, like you said, the roads. I mean, even something as simple as the roads being paved, right?
Yep.
It's like just having that infrastructure, having those resources,
Yeah.
having all things right. They see this like, oh, this is easy. All I got to
Yep.
do is just put in the same amount of hustle and grind, and like, you know, in one generation, they're going from poverty to upper middle class, and they're not Indian folks. And it's like they got a whole culture about it. They're like, you know, we're gonna go out and buy gas stations, okay? We're gonna buy hotels. We're gonna pool our money together. We're gonna buy this stuff, and we're gonna work from 6 a.m. to 10 or whatever. And it's the same thing across all these different groups. I guess there is something to be said about being Black and being here and not having that same perspective, and not going to these other countries and seeing the work ethic and seeing what they don't have. Where I think you don't have a perspective to know, okay, I really don't have it that bad. Like, I really have the world at my fingertips. I just need to apply myself. And I think that some of it is really not their fault as much as they're just ignorant about the world, man. I really do feel like that's just kind of what it is.
But it's always Negroes like me, and I'm a self-identified Negro whisperer. It's always Negroes like me that will remind, particularly people who are FBA, you are the wealthiest Blacks on the planet. It's shameful and disgraceful when you fail and then you blame it on racism. It will be better if you looked in the mirror and just said, you know what, I effed up. Let me pull myself up from the boot and correct what I messed up doing instead of blaming the white man. And that's what a Negro like me, I think that's why the universe has placed me here, to constantly remind Blacks of that.
Let me just pause there for
I'm glad that
1
people
second,
like you
because
exist
this
too,
is
man.
funny.
Because again,
all right,
these race narratives
a lot more
are
African
supported
Americans,
in
Black
education. When I was
Americans,
teaching,
I don't know
we
where
had
they are getting this
teachers that
from, but
literally
they are saying
said
that they don't have roots
Johnny
to
can't do
Africa.
math because
They are
of
saying
systemic
that they have
racism.
always
I said,
been
no,
in
Johnny
America,
can't do math
that they
because
are
he's
not
an
part of the
ethnic
slave
idiot and he
trade.
doesn't want to study.
Which,
That's why.
Yeah, no,
I
when I was
to
in
me, it's
college at
absurd.
USC Chapel
I don't
Hill,
know if they're
I'll never forget
ashamed
this.
to
I
be
had this one
African.
professor. He
You
was a
know, I don't
liberal,
know if they're
progressive
ashamed to
white
have
guy. I was
African
thinking like a
roots
high
or
level
where this is
sociology
coming
class,
from.
stuff
But
like
yes,
that. They
a
made us
lot
watch
more
the
African
documentary
Americans than
13.
before
And
are
his whole
denying their
narrative was
African
just about
roots.
how bad
So this is why
Blacks got
Assad
into
and his
this
wife
country.
are
Progression of
laughing, because
technology
to them they think
and
very
where we
absurd.
at
It
as
makes
a
no
country in
sense.
regards to
And
opportunity
listen
when
to
you
these
consider
guys.
brothers. Actually, we consider all these things that have been put in place for Black people to succeed. That there is no excuse. And he was just fascinated by me. I got an A in that class, but he was fascinated by the fact that I was a Black male, not playing the victimhood card, basically arguing that no, I don't believe this narrative. I don't care about what happened in the past. Here are all the reasons why Black people can succeed. And he was just fascinated by it, right? It's just funny because they do push that in college. I witnessed it for myself, and it was a crazy thing to observe at the time.
They say the white man, he holding his back, and the African, I'm like, shut up. The first wealthy woman in the country, I'm sorry, not the first wealthy, but the first woman that was a millionaire was a Black one. You gotta constantly remind the dumb FBA, hey FBA, no African is in competition with you. You've won by birthright. If you're born in America, you won the genetic lottery.
Yeah, you won the lottery. Yeah, exactly.
Because people are literally dying to get over here.
Yeah, well, it is funny because they always want to focus on the aspects of history that are like the worst. But see, like Black Wall Street, Tulsa, right, Oklahoma. They love this story, and I'm just like, it's funny because they say, well, we built our own, we had our own thing. Black Wall Street, and the white man came and burned it down. Well, I'm like, well, the story's a little bit more complicated than that, but you always forget that Black Wall Street was rebuilt, okay? It was rebuilt, and it actually went away during integration, okay? That's when it actually went away, or disintegrated, right, during integration. you always leave out the part that, hey, even though, you know, it was burned down or whatever, it was rebuilt. Like, it is possible. Why do you keep focusing on the fact that it was, you know, burned down or whatever? Like, it's stuff like that that really bothers me, because it's like, you're not even trying to focus on what can you do, what can you achieve, rather than what can't you achieve it, and why can't you achieve it, when clearly it's possible, right? So again, a lot of people just say, well, it doesn't matter what we do as black people, because the white man's just going, you know, sabotage anyway. So it is what it is. I'm just like, yeah.
If they wanted to sabotage black intellectualism, they would have done it with the Divine Nine, the Black Greeks. My fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, December 4th, 1906, was founded at an Ivy League school. Ivy League. How come nobody stopped my seven founders? Black people make all the excuses in the world. You have black associations, black lawyer associations. You have black engineering associations, black mathematical associations that go back almost 100 years. Nobody has destroyed that, in my opinion. And now I'm going to be honest with you. Black Wall Street was probably 2 blocks, like a street or two of 1 or 2 story buildings, and we don't really know what happened back then. But I'll tell you this. Black people have always had Black Wall Streets. Harlem was so goddamn successful, they called it the Harlem Renaissance. No white people burnt that shit down. Black people have Harlem. Jackson, Mississippi. Isn't that Black Wall Street right now? Detroit, isn't that Black Wall Street? A Negro like me would listen. See, that's why Tariq Nasheed made the video about me. They don't like me because I tell the truth. We have always had Black Wall Street. Yes, one of them probably did get destroyed. Damn Jews. The Jews, I'm not the Jews, I'm sorry. The Japanese were interned during World War II. George Takei, who played Sulu in Star Trek, he talks about how he was a kid. Him and his family were imprisoned just for being Japanese. And you know what? He said, I still love this country. It was a hard time. We understand our people were looked at as enemies. Even though we were Americans, we've moved on.
So what did you guys think of this discussion between Chaotic Truth and Greg Foreman from the Black conservative perspective? You can also go to Chaotic Truth's channel for the full show. I think the show was about 3 hours long. I only clipped out the parts that I thought that I found interesting, and I thought I'll share them with you. But of course, you can go to Chaotic Truth channel to see the full episode and watch his other content. You know, he does bring out some very interesting topics, as well as Greg from Black conservative perspectives. So again, guys, please leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to both this channel and the Gentleman's channels. All right, on the African Diaspora channel, we are all about connecting the African diaspora one subscriber at a time. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.